for the log, everyone. It's 7:36 a.m. and yeah, it's very early, but we are currently at the Hustler Casino, which I think vloggers are allowed to vlog at, or you need some kind of pass, but haven't made the effort to do that part. We'll talk to them today. Let's hop into the game. Let's see how we do. We're playing 2-5 because they don't have a 5-5 game going. It should be a good time, and I'll let you guys know how it goes.
As I mentioned briefly there, we still have a few jackets left. I went ahead and restocked just a very small amount, again, to keep this very limited. Again, if you guys haven't had your chance to, there's going to be a few weeks of this left, I'm assuming, or a couple videos of this left. Make sure to grab your hoodie. The merch is unreal. The quality is second to none. I mean, I gotta go grab the jacket, actually. I mean, come on. I mean, we're on a different level right now, baby. Like I said, the cool thing about this is you're entered into a raffle for an opportunity to come hang out with me and the team for the WSOP 2022. That includes your flight, your stay, as well as a tournament ticket to play one of the entry level events. And if that's not enticing enough, then you know, maybe you just want to support me. That's pretty nice too. Beyond that, if you guys haven't already, make sure to join the Splash Squads. There is a free roll every single Thursday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Everybody that I think you guys watch, I'm assuming Johnny Vibes, Rampage, Mariano, myself, and Lynn are all in the mix and getting deep into the virtual fun. If you guys ever see me on the felts, don't ever hesitate to ask me to give you guys a punt, because I'm happy to do so. Otherwise, there's a link in the description. It's the very top one. It says join Club GG. Just follow that. It's super simple to get you guys situated. And like I said, there's a full support team to help you guys out. Quickly gonna interrupt myself. The reason this ends up being so much fun is because we do something that I don't think anyone's done to date, especially not in the live poker world: a heart rate monitor. Stay tuned, because there's a couple hands in today's session that we have a live look at my in time in the hand, what my heartbeat's like. Am I beating out of control, or am I really cool, calm, and collected? I don't know. Maybe you guys comment down below, take a guess what you guys expect from me. Am I pretty even keel or not? But anyways, that's enough of me giving away too many little secrets of our episode. Like I said, this is a huge game changer, and I'm going to be incorporating this in every single vlog moving forward. Shut up already, Kieran. We've heard enough of the intro. Let's move forward into these hands. Look, this is a new year, so let's start off with a bang and a massive hand that, like I said, I don't want to give away too much as far as context. Early position limps, another player at limps as well. It gets over to me on the button. I'm going to go ahead and isolate here. There is a straddle on to this hand, which is $10. I make it $55 with Jack 10 offsuit. A little bit on the looser side. I'd like for this to be suited, but in reality, I don't really mind. These players are pretty loose, like I said, pre-flop, and they're playing extremely passive. They are just not really, yeah. Anyways, we're off to a flop that's King 10-8 with 2 clubs and 1 heart. Checks over to me. I'm gonna go and c-bet $65. The opponent decides to call, and we're off to a turn. The turn comes the ace of hearts. When he checks over to me, this is just a great card for my range and a decent card for my hand. We now pick up a gut shot if we need to suck out on any one pair holdings, which is most likely what our opponent has. So I'm gonna go ahead and bet $200, size up a little bit here to get, again, some better hands to fold and any drawing hands to call, and I guess give us a little bit extra value. Anyways, my opponent decides to make the call, and we're off to the river. The river comes a 6 of clubs, bringing the front door flush. My opponent snap jams all in for $600. I mean, like, immediately snap jam. And you're asking yourself, Kieran, why haven't you thrown your cards away yet? And it's because I just don't even know what the heck this guy's repping. It seems obvious that, okay, he has a flush, but there is just something to be said about timing tells. Look, our opponent instantly jammed. I mean, I don't even think he got a chance to see what the river was. He just instantly jammed. And when that happens, almost always the player is bluffing. He's trying to show you that he's just, I'm so strong. I've got all this bravado. I got a big hand. And, you know, you guys have all been there before. You guys see this. It happens all the time. And I don't know. I just feel like that's just constantly what's kind of infesting my mind at this point in this hand is that, look, this guy just doesn't have as good of a hand as he's proclaiming or acting like he does. And if that's the case, even though my hand's god awful, there's a couple things that are important to note. Look, I have a great removal from his value hands. So his hands like Queen Jack, his hands like flush draws, I actually block both of those hands. So I just, what is he repping? What is this guy repping? I don't know. And besides, I guess 7-9 that gets her on the river. And even then, he didn't wait for the hand to come out. I just don't know what the guy has. So after all that being said, I end up tossing in the call with probably one of the worst hands I guess I'm going to have in this spot. But again, the blockers are so relevant to me. My opponent says good call, but shows ace deuce. So obviously he was bluffing with the worst hand. He did have the ace of clubs, so it's unfortunate for us that we end up calling a bluff and it was still better than us. And that's just the sickest part of our hand, is that even when that's the case, we're just gonna be beat sometimes. So it is what it is. Unfortunate for us. Good play by him, I guess. I don't know. He was blown away that he was good, and I guess so was I. But I guess that's the trouble with this hand. This is a perfect hand and a perfect example of, like, we just don't even beat a lot of things, and it is what it is. Unfortunate way to start off the new year. I cannot speak honestly of how excited I am for this crazy new feature. Again, this takes so much time, not only to edit, but to get this in real time. But nonetheless, enjoy yourselves. The gentleman to my right in the cutoff decides to raise a 20. As you guys can see, the heart is pumping very fast because we've got a pretty shitty hand, but we want to go on the flop, and I got all this thing going, so we got to play some hands with it. Anyways, we have queen deuce of hearts, and the flop comes unbelievable. We end up flopping a flush draw here, as well as a backdoor straight draw. Pretty decent spot when it checks over to me, and as you guys can see, I'm already cool, calm, and collected. Nearly 15 beats shaved off the heart because I'm feeling good, you know what I mean? I don't even mind getting called too much when I decide to bet $40. The only bad thing is, not only do one people call me, but two people's calls me. And as you guys can see, the heart rate boosts up yet again, nearly 10 beats higher. The turn is a pretty abysmal card as it comes pairing the board, sadly. As you guys can see here, the heart rate is not too excited. I'm pretty disappointed. Nothing exciting happened, and I didn't even get the chance to fire a bluff. The small blind decides to lead here, and the gentleman to my right somehow on this board, which is just not very good. There's a one-liner to a straight, decides to raise. As you guys can see, I'm out of there. No reason for me to get in any trouble. When he raises, small blind pretty quickly decides to fold, and that is that. How freaking cool is that? As the heartbeat monitor continues to get perfected, because it will take some time to do that, I'm going to be having way too much fun with that dang thing. Anyways, we're in a hand here. We're playing four-handed or five-handed at this point. Under the gun decides to straddle. We look down at the beautiful ace-king offsuit. Time to get some money back. $30 to go. It folds all the way around to our adversary here in the straddle, who decides to make the call, and we are off to a flop. The flop comes king 8 deuce rainbow. This is a pretty dry flop, but the one thing we have learned from our adversary here in the straddle is that he will find a way to call really bad hands and just float on board textures that he just shouldn't be floating on. So there's no reason to slow down and trap. I mean, that doesn't help you against somebody that is just willing to call a little bit on the lighter side. So I'm going to go ahead and make a bet here. It's $60, and he pretty quickly decides to make the fold. Maybe the sizing was a little too big, but in reality, I mean, he didn't really want to call anyway. So yeah, let's see if that just gets us in the right direction. Happy to finally bring one in. A huge shout out to none other than the Texas Dolly. Huge shout out to Doyle Brunson as we look down at 10 deuce of diamonds. I'm in the straddle, and I don't really need an excuse to play such a great hand, but you know what I mean. It's Doyle Brunson, right? We gotta pay an homage, I guess. I go ahead and call an under the gun raised $30, and we're off to this flop here, which comes jack deuce deuce. I go ahead and check. The opponent bets $50, and when he bets a massive sizing, this is always indicative of a strong hand that he's never going to be folding. So it's instantly that I decide to raise to $150, try to get this money in as fast as I can into the middle, and he pretty quickly obliges. And when he snap calls, like I said, it's almost obvious he has like aces, kings, or queens here. So I'm going to go ahead and jam the rest of the money in. He has about $260 left in his stack, and he pretty quickly decides to call it off. The turn, like I said, was not a very interesting card, and the river comes a king. Hopefully he does not have pocket kings. We expose our hand, and it is very, very good. Huge hand there for us. Again, thank you to the Texas Dolly, who is a big inspiration as to how I got into poker with Poker After Dark and whatnot. So, you know, there's a little bit of run good, I guess, in sight. Without harping on it too much, Texas Dolly just kind of controls himself and holds himself with such a charm and pleasure at the table. That's kind of like something I like to emulate when I'm at the table. Something friendly and kind of approachable and kind of, you know, like good vibes, I guess is what you'd call it. Yet again, we find ourselves in another little plot here with our adversary that we lost that Jack 10 offsuit hand with. We're playing five-handed. He decides to raise from the small blind when it gets folded to him to $25. We look down at ace 3 of diamonds. Hand is way too good to make the fold. And again, I might like this better as a 3-bet, but all things considered, keeping these ranges a little wider is never a bad thing. So I just make the call and we're off to a flop. The flop comes ace king 8, and I decide to call his c-bet of $30. Nothing out of the ordinary at this point, but the turn comes a turn 9. The action decides to check all the way through, and we're off to the river, which comes a great card. It's a 3. Not a great deal of hands that he's going to be calling me with, so no need to go polar, no need to go large. I decide to bet a pretty small amount of $45, expecting to be called here pretty often. Pretty quickly decides to make the call, and that's good news for us, unlucky for him. 2 pair is better than whatever he has, so let's keep this ball rolling. Let's get all the way unstuck. And here we are again with the lovely little heart rate monitor. As you guys can see, we're pumping and dumping, and not a great situation, but I'll talk very briefly about it. I do suffer from some pretty severe anxiety sometimes, and I do my best to cope with it, and obviously poker doesn't help all that much with that. Anyways, we're here, and immediately my heart spikes up when the gentleman here decides to raise to a massive $45 pre-flop. No straddle on, 4-handed in a 2-5 game or 5-5, whatever the heck this stupid LA spread casino is. Anyways, we look down at queen 10 offsuit. I'm not going to be folding my big blind against pretty much anyone to a single raise. So I'm going to go ahead and call, like I said here, and we are off to a flop. The flop comes Jack 4 deuce. And surprisingly, after that massive raise, this individual decides to check it back. The turn comes a gin card as it comes a queen. And again, the check occurs. On this river, as you guys can see, the heart is already cool, calm, and collected. We are absolutely not worried about a thing in the world. I decide to bet $60 for value, and the opponent thinks about it for a very brief moment before deciding to make the call. And just like that, we get paid off in a great little spot here. Just goes to show you that I guess not every time when they bet 9x pre-flop, they have aces. In reality, I think he had a hand like 9s or 10s or something like that. But he just got sticky with whatever hand he had, and we ended up having the best hand. If you folks haven't had the chance to already, make sure to click the subscribe button down below. Leave a comment letting me know what you guys think about the heart rate monitor, and make sure to turn on the notification bells if you haven't already. It does such a great thing for us and the algorithm. It continues to help us grow our little community, and more importantly, it'll help keep you guys in tune with what the heck's going on here at Close and Broke. Okay, this next hand is super interesting and probably my favorite hand I've ever played in my entire poker vlog career. Not that, all right, enough of the foreshadowing. Anyways, to catch you guys up, early position decides to make it $20. It folds over to me, and I decide to re-raise here to $75. And the reason being is this is the first time I'm playing against a casino employee, or a prop as most people consider them. And yeah, it's been a really long time since I've been in this situation, so I'm just assuming that, hey, this guy's probably playing with casino money and I want to get it. And not only that, but maybe he's playing a little tighter, possibly. Well, it's hard to tell. I've never played with the prop at the Hustler Casino, so I'm going to go ahead and try to continue playing flow here. As you guys saw there, I have Jack 10 offsuit, and the flop did come fairly favorable for us as it comes 10-8-4. I decide to c-bet here my entire range. $65 to go, and he decides to pretty quickly make the call. The turn comes a pretty interesting card as it comes an 8, bringing the backdoor spade draw. I decide to check here, and he pretty quickly decides to check it back. The river comes an absolutely gorgeous card as it comes the 10 of diamonds. I don't think it can be pretty much any better than that, to be quite honest. After a little bit of pausing and a little bit of humming and hawing, I decide to Hollywood my way to a jam here. He has about $350 remaining in his stack, and it's time to polarize myself here. I think I can get a crying call from all over pairs, as well as all ace highs, and even sometimes, as ridiculous as it sounds, even king highs. After a bit of tanking, my opponent begrudgingly decides to lay his hand down. Maybe the sizing was a little too big, but like I said, I can't kill myself for it. I know what hands I'm targeting. It's hard to imagine that if he folds here, that he's going to be calling a sizing of like $150 or $200. So unlucky, but happy to take that hand down. Like I said, one of my most favorite hands of this new year. And I'm going to quickly let this roll out here and go to the very next hand, which happens immediately after. We're on the button and we're still stacking our winnings from the previous hand as we look down at Jack 8 of hearts. We're playing 5-handed at this point. Pretty hand to see, especially when we're this short-handed and especially when we've got the button. 4x seems like a reasonable price, so that's what I make it. Only a small blind decides to make the call and we are off to a flop. The flop comes 10-9-9 with 2 hearts. We flop the absolute world here. If we're not going to flop a pair, I mean, this is pretty much the only thing that's better. He decides to, oddly enough, lead out here though for $40. He only has about $220 left in his stack here, so I want to just commit it. I want to see all 5 cards. There's 2 more to come, and it's hard to imagine a world where I am drawing very thin here. So I decide to jam for what is around $250, and he pretty quickly decides to make the call. The turn comes a queen of diamonds, and the river comes a brick. We show our hand, which is the beautiful straight here, and he pretty quickly folds in disgust. So great spot for us here. Unfortunately for that gentleman, we were able to pip him on 2 hands for the day. That's just how things are going to go for what seems like the rest of the session. We're laser focused, locked in here, and looking to finally battle our way back from being down early in the session to being down only a few $100 at this point. If earlier in this vlog I played one of the most interesting hands, I think this has to be one of the kookiest hands I'll ever play. Just bear with me as I break it all down. We look down at King 10 of hearts in early position. Again, we're playing 5-handed or 6-handed here at this point. I decide to make it 4x once again. $20 to go. A new player to my left who, it's very important to remember this. He is a 2550 limit player. He's 100%, almost only plays limit. He's just playing this game right now because the limit game is not running. Anyways, the small blind calls as well, and we are off to a flop. The flop comes ace 5-6 with 2 hearts and a diamond. Delicious flop for our hand. I decided to bet $35, and you guys could see it right there. He could not have beat me into this pot any faster. The turn comes another ace of diamonds. So now there's 2 flush draws out there as well as a board being paired. I get ready to cut out my chips and I bet $60, and yet again he instantly calls. As you guys can see here, and I start joking around about how we're playing limit hold'em at this point, and that on the river I'm going to check so that he can bet the minimum. That is what I do. I check on the river and he quickly bets, but he fumbles with his chips a little bit and decides to bet $75. Kind of an interesting situation. And I think the only reason I end up calling here is because this is like a limit player, and I think this is like a limit bet. He's betting the river just to get me off a hand because he thinks I don't have a hand. He just bet way too small here. This is a puny size bet. I decide to make the call, and he shows 8-7 of diamonds. So he had a ton of outs on the turn and bricks all of them on the river. We call him with king high, and we are good to scoop a massive, massive pot, at least for the stakes, I guess. And yeah, we are all the way out of the red and find ourselves in the black.
Alrighty folks, so we finally have a sunny day here in California, and it didn't come early enough. January 2nd, and it is already beautiful, as you guys can see out here. We have some really good news and some really bad news, so let's go over everything here. Not a lot going our way early, as you guys saw there, and I think I mentioned it here inside of the portion where I just talk over the hands. But I mean, we waited like 2.5 hours to play, and I think I just kind of leveled myself into making a really bad call. But I mean, at the end of the day, I had my reasoning. I'll let you guys know why I made the call. And obviously the guy thought he was bluffing, but he was just bluffing with the best hand, which is kind of a shitty part about heroing sometimes. Is some good news, some bad news. Quickly, the good news is we won. We finally ended this little down streak. We were into the game for $2,000 and out of the game for $2,600. $64. So there lies the bad news. Book a small win of $64, but it is what it is. Now we're going to be heading out to the house and enjoying our day, which is going to be consisting of a lot of just doing things that happen with the new year, which is catching up on a lot of stuff because everywhere was closed for the last couple days. So anyways, that'll do it for me here. I hope you guys enjoyed, which was one of the best things, I think, what I've been excited to share finally, and that was the heart rate monitor. It was, I think, the coolest part of this whole thing was adding that element to the vlog. You guys can see a live reading in specific hands in the session of my heart rate and how it's doing. It was pretty high today. I don't know why. But yeah, whatever the case may be, it is what it is. If you guys haven't already, make sure to like, subscribe, comment down below, and leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think about the episode and what you guys think about the heart rate monitor. If I should keep doing it, if you guys kind of like that. I don't think anybody's doing that at this time. And yeah, make sure to turn on the notification bell if you haven't already. And until next time, I love you guys all. Enjoy yourselves, stay happy, stay healthy, and more importantly, run good at the tables. I'll see you guys soon. Deuces.